Hey,
Good, good.
look at you. You're in some sort of beach town.
Yeah, man.
The tank top.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, no, I can hear you great.
Awesome. Awesome. Let me just open this browser. Beauty, man. Well, you know what? Let's kind of probably just jump right into it here. Let me just pause this for a sec. All right. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode. I'm joined with a very special guest, Jacques Martique. And I wanted to say that right away so I didn't mess it up like I did previously. So I've got who I consider kind of like, I don't want to say little brother, but a guy that I see so much of myself in, where, you know, he's really kind of playing full out from Vancouver, traveling the world, really on a mission to empower and impact a lot of lives. And he's got a really unique project he's working on. And I'm going to invite him in here to explain exactly what he's doing, why he's doing it, and how people should get involved with it. So, my friend, my little brother, come on in, my man.
Hell yeah, no, I'm ready. I'm ready to talk to you about party science, natural euphoria, and party sober all over the global tour that I'm working on right now, which is about creating a worldwide social movement, challenging the social norms that exist in party culture, nightlife, and entertainment, and how they're so linked to unhealthy human behaviors, mainly revolving binge, alcohol, and substance use. So yeah, no, I'm stoked to be here. That introduction definitely is getting me pumped up, and usually I'm pumping other people up through the parties that I facilitate. So yeah, it's a pleasure to be on the show.
Well, I think it's timely because my last episode I just recorded was how and why I've stopped drinking and how I've been sober for the last almost 2 years, about 20 months when
Wow.
I made a decision New Year's Day, January 1st, 2017. And I'm like, you know, what would my life look like if I just stopped drinking? And my challenge was for a month. So 30 days, I was like, I'm just going to stop drinking for a month. Kind of like a New Year's resolution. And it's not like I had a problem or, you know, was an alcoholic or anything like that. I was just like, you know what? I'm just on this health binge. I was starting to do CrossFit a lot. If people are watching this on YouTube, I'm not sweating. I just came back from a surfing paddleboard session here. So I'm still not dry yet if you're watching this on YouTube. But yeah, so I started that challenge and then 30 days went by and I felt so good and so just healthy and productive, and the money I was saving, I was like, well, why don't I keep going? And 1 month turned into another last month, and you told me what you're up to. I was like, man, that's so cool, especially to raise awareness about when you go out, you don't have to get all, you know, wasted to have a good time. You know, you can go out and just like you said, natural euphoria and just kind of have a sober rave, which you've been doing. So I want to ask, how did you get into this? Like, what's your background that said, hey, let's create this and see where it goes?
Yeah. So I'd say it's I'm gonna spitball here a bit, but I think there's three main avenues I got involved in partying sober. I think one of them, off the top of my head, is I just wanted to save money, and I didn't really see the value that alcohol had. I didn't think it was worth all the money.
Right.
So therefore, from an early age, I was partying sober, and I had the chance to develop a skill set and a willingness to get out of my comfort zone. And now I just have this phenomenal skill set where I can basically choose to feel good and choose to get naturally high. It's basically a conscious process. Um, and then secondly, I am my research focus, if I were to be an expert in anything, is uh, public health and studying the psychology of behavioral change.
Yeah.
And I think that, when we look at the healthcare system, it's very reactive as opposed to proactive. And I'm really interested in how we can teach humans how to live healthy lives instead of how to take medication or how to respond to medical emergencies.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I've had an influence from my father, who's a medical health officer.
Okay.
And I wanted to be a doctor at one point in my life before I discovered my gift, which is facilitating human connection and spreading energy in a crowd of people. And my gift is basically that I can start a dance party regardless of all circumstances almost. I'm not getting too overconfident. I don't know if I could do this in North Korea, but
Well, come on over and we'll start a rave there, man.
and well, that's what I have as a footnote on my Party Sober All Over script is North Korea may be the finale, the epic finale.
Yeah.
And I was having a dream, or just I was imagining North Korea, and I was imagining that I was a party slave, like they would enslave me to throw parties for them.
That's funny. That's really funny. I've actually I've actually crossed over the border into North Korea, actually, into the DMZ, demilitarized zone.
Okay.
And yeah, man, it's a pretty intense scene, and they definitely need to lighten up and have some parties over there, I think. Well, that's awesome, man. So your background is in kind of wanting to create, this consciousness around sober partying and connecting with people. And what's your situation now? You're creating this world tour. Where are you going, and what's the kind of game plan for those spots?
Yeah, so I'm super stoked about the world tour, but I just want to add something really important to the last question is that I've gone to thousands of parties sober, and I've taken care of a lot of my peers at these parties.
Yeah.
And I've witnessed carnage, intoxication, a lack of any sensibility, and it's quite pitiful that we think that substances will lead to fun instead of simply asking ourselves, well, how can I optimize my mindset and my behavior to have the most fun possible? And a core to that is, well, by not destroying your body,
right?
And also by thinking and using your frontal lobe. And drugs hijack all sorts of systems up there and prevent that from happening. But yeah, the Party Sober All Over tour is going to be crazy. We want to go to iconic public spaces like Tiananmen Square. We want to go to crowded nightlife districts. Mm-hmm. We want to go to debaucherous parties like the Full Moon Beach Party in Thailand.
I've been there.
We want to go to historic landmarks, and we want to go there and spread dance, music, positivity, and create a viral storyline capturing viral footage to share with the world, to inspire young people like, holy shit, this guy's having more fun than I am, and he is totally sober. Yeah. How do I become like him? How do I do what he's doing? Well, maybe I should think more consciously about my fun and my socialization, and maybe I should try something new and get out of my comfort zone and build my social literacy and amusement skills. We're starting in New Zealand, and we want to hit up a bunch of universities down there, awesome, to some famous landmarks. Then we're going to go to Australia, head around Australia, and then up through Bali to Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, and then hit all of Eastern China. Of course, not forgetting the Great Wall of China.
Yeah, right.
And also the Chinese metro system, the subway.
Good luck, man. That's a zoo down there, man. I got lost in Shanghai so many times, man. That place is mayhem. Try the I would actually even recommend the Tokyo metro system is even crazier.
Yeah, we're gonna be going. We're gonna be going to Tokyo too. What I've heard about Tokyo is that the Japanese, and one thing that I've learned from cultural psychology is that more interdependent cultures, conventionally Asian cultures, there's this huge conformity motive as opposed to the individualistic motive, and this conformity motive applies so much pressure to young people and old people to conform that they need to get super, super drunk to break that.
Yeah.
And I think fun and nonconformity are very related, actually. I think that societal norms are not built for fun. They're built by corporations and people wanting to make money. And, you know, if we were to, we can definitely dive into what I think about young people and party culture. I think it's designed. I don't think it's like this naturally. I think it's designed.
Well, you know what? Let me ask a third opinion here. I'm sitting with my friend Angela, who is kind of shooting this little mini documentary. You can see her with her camera in the background. She's Korean, and Korea consumes more alcohol than any country in the world. There's 50 million Koreans, and these 50 million Koreans drink more alcohol than 350 million Americans. So, Angela, do you want to come over and say why you think that is with the culture? Don't be shy. Come on in.
Come over. Yeah.
She's doing her own blog as well. So here's the mic. Do you want to maybe come and speak? So let me ask, why do you think the culture of, like he was saying, in Asia, people drink so much to be able to connect and communicate with other people? So why is drinking such a big part of the culture in Korea, Tokyo, places like that?
Yeah, actually, yes, actually, we don't have any culture about communication. So yeah, drinking. So we don't have shy feeling and more, how to say?
More relaxed, kind of?
Yeah, more relaxed and
comfortable.
Comfortable. So that's why we don't like, you know, drinking culture. And then after, more connected and friendly. Yeah, so that's why I think culture.
Yeah, because the first thing people do, like basically all people do here is just go drinking. It's like it's crazy. And since I've stopped drinking, I feel really disconnected from this society and culture and community, basically, because like I just don't do that anymore. So do you think it's a problem here, the drinking culture?
Yeah, because, you know, more older people like, you know, recommend to drink more.
Kind of force,
yeah.
Especially at these company meetings, you know, company office parties and stuff, they just get wasted, right?
Yeah, right.
Well, I really like this point. Yeah, because you basically cannot reject someone above you in social status. You cannot reject them offering you a cigarette or a drink. This is what I've heard from a few high school teachers in China, is that this culture of honor basically amplifies the peer pressure, amplifies the social pressure to drink and consume substances to respect one another.
Yeah, and you know the thing is the biggest shock for me is I've never seen my parents or any older family members drunk, and here the majority of the people that get the drunkest are like the 50, 60-year-olds that are just passed out in front of my building on the beach here in like their business suit on the street. Like if you want to check out something insane, check out blackoutkorea.com. Just Google Blackout Korea and you'll just see like thousands of images of just like people passed out on the subway. Just it's insane. And the thing is that I think is the most ironic thing is that it's such a conservative culture during the day between like office hours, so respectful, people bowing. And then at night, these guys are just like animals, you know, like it's just like a total different Jekyll and Hyde thing. It's really weird. So yeah, like that's been such a, you know, just day and night. You know, since those videos and pictures.
Oh, man.
You see it now? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, there's just
That's real, man. I've seen it.
it's holy crap, I'm oh my God.
Yeah.
This is
That's
terrible.
what you're going to be seeing, man. It is terrible, but it's like normal, you know, like it's just normal. Like it's so like people are, oh, you know, don't mind him. He's wasted. I'm like, well, why is he wasted? It's like 3 PM, you know, like, and he's like,
I think this is, I mean, I'm not sure. I know that, you know, the stereotype suggests that Asian cultures, they're very, very career oriented.
so much pressure. Yeah.
Right? All this pressure, you work 80 hours a week, your brain just needs, you can't stop your brain.
Yeah.
So you need substances to stop your brain.
Yeah.
You need substances to relax because your heart rate's going so high. You got all these deadlines. You got all this source of stress. There's no balance in your life. Mm-hmm. So in order to shut everything down, you need a relaxant, right?
Yeah. And like the thing is, that just creates more stress on the body though, because they're so wound up and then they get wasted and then their body just, it's like this never ending spiral because then they don't sleep, they're hungover, they're unhealthy, they're not working out. And yeah, man, it's, you know, that's why I think what you're doing, especially to get people at a young age. And I read something that millennials are actually drinking and partying less than, you know, the generation before. Like, is there, because how old are you, man? How old are you?
Yeah. So I'm 22.
You're only 22.
That's right.
That's crazy, man. Jeez. That's impressive though. So when did you start? Did you ever drink, or is this something that you just kind of came about? Like, what's your background with that?
Yeah. I wanted to quickly say something, comment on what you said about you know, just the culture, the work culture, and they need relaxants. Basically, you know, it requires a lot of effort to live a substance-free life and get joy naturally. You need to train your brain, and that requires a lot of effort, and it requires a lot of time too. So if you're working 80 hours a week, you can't really teach yourself or learn or invest in yourself and your health. It's just too time consuming. But yeah, so I'm 22. I have not been drunk in my life. I've never blacked out in my life. I don't think I've ever been out of control in my life. Wow. And it's, you know, I'm curious. I'm really curious. I don't think I'll ever do it because I love life as is. And
wow, man, that's amazing.
You know, like
that's so impressive, actually. Like, I'm just thinking back to my youth. I had my first drink when I was 14 down at like the river, like down by the pit, we called it. And it was just such a big part of my life. Like, I played university basketball, and just every weekend the guys from the team, and in high school, you know, like being part of it, I think that athletic community really, it's really healthy on one end, but at the same time, you've got, you know, some guys that love to go out and, like, you know, totally. the dating and partying scene was out of control. And that's why recently I'm like, hey, you know, like, I've been doing this for literally like decades, actually. It's crazy. But that's why I was like, all right, it's time to, you know, reassess things. So at your age, to have that mindset, that's unbelievable, especially in a city like Vancouver, where weed is now legal. You know, like, I was shocked back this past month when I was there for the month. There's like literally more weed dispensaries and weed cafes downtown than there are coffee shops. So it's
very frightening, Quinton, because it's better than alcohol for sure. I don't think it makes people as violent. It's a depressant, but it's not destroying people's ability to make decisions so much.
Yeah.
But the reality is, it's a substance,
yeah.
and your happiness and your sanity and your social connection is becoming dependent on a substance, and
Yeah.
that's just weak, man. Develop all you
Social
need up
skills.
here,
Yeah.
and do it, and you're gonna live a way longer, happier life if you can control your surroundings by just controlling your mind, right?
Yeah.
So
the thing I just want to touch on that before we kind of switch gears is like, it's going to make me sound old, but I'm going to say the old thing when I was young. But when I was young, when I was like 17, 18 in university, 19, and when I used to smoke weed, it wasn't that strong. And I haven't smoked weed for a long time.
Oh boy, it's changed.
You know, well, that's the thing. Like, I haven't smoked weed in a long, long time. But the last time I did, and this is like a while back, so I can only imagine how much stronger it is now. You know, what I used to smoke, I was just wrecked. You know, like the potency with the THC or whatever it is with the different strains these days, it's just way more. And that's what I talked to my dad about, because my dad's like, yeah, like he would be scared to smoke it now, because when he was, you know, in his early 20s and stuff and trying it, it was like just nothing. Like the potency has just been exponentially compounded and just so much stronger these days. So I think these kids that are smoking weed really young are really doing a lot of damage to their brain development, like for sure. So yeah, that's definitely a concern.
Well, I love what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
This is where all the economic drawbacks of substance use come from. It's just lost potential, because
Lost potential. Wow, that's powerful. Yeah.
Your brain. This is why young people. It's such a conundrum that when we're young, we have to learn everything. We make all our negative decisions when we're young, and yet those negative decisions have the biggest impact on our brain development. So it really sucks, right? Wouldn't it be great if we were, like our brains developed at a different time when we weren't doing all these stupid decisions and trying out all these substances? And this is the biggest issue with marijuana use, is people think it's natural, and it no longer is natural, because it's like the THC content is like
it's out of control. Yeah.
And nowadays people are not smoking, they're doing all this other stuff, and they're doing extracts, and there's this whole other practice, it's called dabbing, and it's a drug. It's just THC. It's no longer marijuana.
Right.
People think that as all drugs come from a natural source. I didn't introduce myself as a pharmacology grad, but the reality is I studied drug development for 4 years.
So what did you study? So you studied
pharmacology.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay. So you are very well versed and educated in this sphere then. Interesting. So you know firsthand, and you know what's interesting is, I won't name his name, but a friend of mine's a doctor, and he knows more about weed than anybody I know. And like, you know, and he's a doctor. Like, a lot of pharmaceutical doctors are kind of like the biggest, you know, drug addicts on the side. You know, like I know a number of guys that are quote unquote in that industry, but probably party harder than most people I associate with. Not
well,
pretty, yeah, because they're so.
You know, there's this there is a reasonable pattern of use, and it's, you know, it's all in the performance enhancement, and you know, there's all sorts of therapeutic uses for drugs as well. I just think in the long term, you want to be able to control how you're feeling, and to be able to feel great, to be able to relax without relying on substances. I think this is like one of the ultimate achievements in life that we should all strive for, is basically disconnecting our well-being from our physical surroundings and physical substances.
Let me ask you this, because, you know, you look at the party scene in regular college campuses or clubs and stuff like that. There's a huge like hookup culture there, right? What do you see with the parties that you throw? Is there still, what's the dating scene like, I guess, with people that aren't using anything?
Okay. Okay. So few comments on the hookup culture. Uh, Sex is a really healthy activity if you use protection and you communicate. And, most of the time it's better if you do it sober so that you communicate and you use protection and you do it safely.
Yeah.
But that's just not the case. In a lot of cultures, we don't regard sex as a healthy activity. So therefore, we want to excuse ourselves from casual sex by getting super drunk, and there's a lot of tension and anxiety around this behavior, when really we should really respect people who have good, healthy sex lives. So that's just a comment on there. So how is it different in a sober environment? Well, I don't think people hook up. They meet each other and get to know each other, and they communicate and flirt, and it's a slower progression.
Good.
I think a key part is I would say that it's less like physical appearance, and it's more, there's definitely more communication, verbal, nonverbal, and you really get to know people better because you're just more aware.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a lot more potential for lasting relationships because of this. Well, first of all, people have attention when they're sober. They really focus on what they're saying, and
I think that that's a really big sell for the university scene, like, because if you look at just how it really is, people think that the only way, like, especially guys, like, the only way that they'll ever approach a girl is like having a few drinks to get that liquid courage, but unfortunately a lot of young guys and men seem to need crutches of weed, being high or drunk, to approach and initiate conversations like that, which I think is too bad, because if you just have the confidence or self-esteem to go and approach someone or start a conversation without any influence, that's what we should really strive to have these healthy communications. And like for myself, like I never really had a problem approaching people. Like most of my relationships come organically from just meeting someone on the street or the beach or whatever, not needing, because every single girl that's out at a club is getting approached by 100 different drunk kind of douchebags that are just like all over them, sloppy, and that's not a very good first impression, I would say, to start a relationship. So I think that what you're doing is really good to kind of create environments where it is safe and comfortable for people to meet and have these healthier interactions and communications. So that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. You just reminded me of something I try to live by. And whenever someone approaches me or talks to me, I want to somehow acknowledge their courage.
Yeah.
And this is what I want to normalize in party culture is, if someone comes up and talks to you, and sure, it can be flirty or whatever, but basically I want people to praise that sort of behavior, instead of people saying like, oh, this person's weird for asking me how my day has been. Like, why are they talking to me? Like, I want them to really acknowledge that, holy crap, this guy like has the confidence, or this woman has the confidence to come up and like engage with me and connect with me. Like, this is great. This means that like they're interested in me. Like, I want to learn more about this person, because they're obviously doing something right if they're like curious about other human beings. And so this is really like one thing that I really think would make party culture so much better, is just if, first of all, if we were openly if we openly communicated whether or not we were interested in people,
Mhm.
and just communicated more on that front,
Yeah.
the like sexualization of any sort of conversation in party culture would be less. So therefore we could actually like have real conversations with one another, and approach one another with less of this like kind of people interpreting it as an intention to get laid. So yeah, I love it when people approach me, and I really encourage people, sober people at Party for Health events, to approach other people. And it's not supposed to be courting, right, necessarily, but it will probably lead to that, perhaps, right?
Mm-hmm. I think that one of my friends posted something the other day. He's actually like a dating coach, and he posted something that his clients are like the most, they're basically doing what 99% of the world is scared to death of. A, public speaking, and B, approaching the most beautiful man or woman that they see. Like, that's the scariest thing. Like, public speaking, people would rather be dead than be giving the eulogy at a funeral, you know? So to be able to like go and approach someone in public with other people watching, especially to someone that's probably, you know, the most attractive person there, that takes a lot of, you know, balls and confidence to do that. And people should be acknowledged for that, like you said. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's really cool. Out of curiosity, just kind of going back to your tour, you know, you're 22 years old. We met because you're a lifeguard down in English Bay. You have like the awesomest job, like basically living Baywatch. And I'm just curious, how is this big project funded? Like, how are you traveling around the world doing all this at such a young age? Like, I know you're a sharp guy, but I'm just wondering, do you have sponsors? Do you have funding from where businesses or health organizations? Like, I'm just wondering how this is kind of structured.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, we're gonna be approaching sponsors. One of our sponsors that has supported us in the past is our speaker company, Soundbox, which is basically the technology that enables us to throw parties anywhere.
Yeah.
So we're going to be approaching sponsors. We're going to be crowdfunding. And who knows, I would do this. I want to do this, and I will do it regardless of whether we get funded necessarily. So yeah, maybe I'll pay for part of it as well. Though that will likely not happen, because this project is fantastic brand material for companies.
Yeah.
Drugs and alcohol in Western civilization are like the leading contributor to the leading cause of death, death in young people. And when young people die, it's like 40 years of a lost life. A parent has invested like 20 years of hard labor into raising someone, and then they die. Like, that's just such a huge economic loss. And not just economically, it's tragic. And it's a huge emotional loss. And so we want to role model across the world, and show people that like you can have fun. You can have fun. You can be crazy and do it without drugs. And it's better. It's better to do it without drugs. You will have more fun than ever. And it's going to hopefully change some of the social norms around party culture, and reduce some alcohol and drug related deaths.
Well, that's amazing, man. And a couple of the first things that came to mind as far as potential, like I would reach out to groups like AA, you know, I'm sure that they have funds, or I'm sure that they have, you know, funds for something.
You're a good idea.
Also, I used to actually work for an organization that was like a government-sponsored youth at risk project. So governments have a lot of calculated budgets for at-risk youth. And if you say, hey, we want to start engaging these at-risk youth that would be more prone to drug use or you know, unhealthy behaviors, and engage them in a healthy way. So I would research some at-risk youth funding or grants. There's a lot of them out there. And a lot of these, you know, Vancouver's a very health conscious community and city. So I'm sure that there's a lot of people, like even like Lululemon or something like that, just off the top of my head, like, you know, like these big brands that would love to kind of sponsor, saying, hey, come out and do like a yoga dance party or something like that. I'm sure that there's a ton of resources available. So I think that I don't think that you'll have a problem. And hey, man, I would love, if you ever need someone to co-help launch an event or something, I'd be happy to get behind something like this, man. I think it's phenomenal what you're doing, and like 22 years old, man. I can't wait to see where you're at when you're 10 years, 20 years down the line. You're going to be making some big moves in the world, my friend. For real, like for real. This is I can't believe you're only 22. Like, even when we talk, like, so I'll tell the story. We met on the beach in English Bay, and I was like, man, what's it like being a lifeguard? I'm like, I think that would be a great gig. And then we just started talking, and we have so many similarities and kind of similar thought patterns. And I really felt like, I'm like, this is kind of like this soul connection here of what we've done and what we're wanting to do in the world, and all the similarities and synchronicities. So I'm just really stoked to have crossed paths with you, and can't wait to see where the future leads on this journey.
Yeah, just on that note of the story of how we met, there are strangers around us all the time that can relate to us on such a deep level and help us in such a powerful way. And we tell ourselves that this is not true. And these are people that I don't know. They're a different ethnicity than I am. They have different views. They don't want to talk to me. It's all a huge illusion. And I think it's hilarious and serendipitous that we cross paths, and it's been super grateful that we have since. So
yeah, well, I can't wait for our paths to cross again, probably on your Asia party tour here. So where can people kind of find out more about you and the project, and how to get involved and potentially support, and what are some resources you would like to kind of get some exposure to?
Yeah, totally. We're going to be featuring a lot of content on our Party for Health channel. So I don't think I've talked about Party for Health yet, but it's basically my company, and it's the social movement that I'm creating, and it's Party number 4 Health. Very oxymoronic, but true. And you can check my Instagram out. That's where that'll be kind of home base for most of the vlogging and web series for the Party Sober All Over tour. And my name is Jacques Martique, and it's going to be in the description. It's at Jacques Martique, and it's just down in the description of the video. And then also our Soundbox. Our Soundbox will definitely be featuring some content about us, some long web content, so you can tune into their channel as well. Soundbox on YouTube, likely. Soundbox with a K.
Yeah, I'll definitely have all those links down below. And I've checked out a number of your videos before this chat to kind of do some research, man. And that bike party you just did on Burrard Bridge, that was epic, man. Like you're right. What you said in the beginning of this part of this episode is that you can start a dance party anywhere, and you're literally just surrounded by all these bikers. The next thing I know, everyone's like raging on the bridge. And I was just like, man, I'm looking forward to this conversation. This is a pretty interesting dude.
Yeah, no, that was spectacular. Yeah, there are endless possibilities when it comes to party activities and places to throw parties, and people don't look at it that way, but I look around, and I look at the physical environment, and I look at plays and other content online, and I think, holy crap, how can I use these physical places and these activities to like create a incredible party experience, man? Like, it gets me stoked, man. It gets me high on life.
Well, I think to wrap up here, how much would you say the average person spends in their life on drugs and alcohol? Because I think if you hit this number, that'll really make people say, wow, I'm literally pissing all this away that I could be investing or traveling with. Like, what do you think? Like, I have no idea, but I'm just wondering.
Spending money. You're talking about dollars.
I'm
Or
talking about how much, yeah, like on over the course of a lifetime, all the beers, all the drinks, all the, you know, grams of weed, whatever. I'm just curious if anyone has ever done research like that, like the average, you know, North American guy, how much does he spend on intoxication?
I would say the average would be probably like four to 6 hours a week, I would say. So you multiply that by a lifetime, 90 years, 365 days, you know, divided by 7 times 4. Yeah, it's like, you know, your brain is shut off for, let's say, you know, well, if it's 4 hours a week, let's say like your brain is shut off for like 2 years of your life or something.
I'd say it's a lot more than that, and the money that's spent on that would be astronomical. Because like I've got friends that are doing kind of the same gig as me, and you know, at the end of the month, they're like, "Man, like I have no money left. Like I can't wait for my next paycheck." And I'm like, "What? Like, how is that possible? Like I'm saving. Like I'm making, you know, I'm banking." So I think that it really goes, you know, like if people kind of keep track on how much they're spending to literally just like poison themselves, why?
And it's the same with all the junk food, man.
Yeah, that's a whole nother deal.
People should be paid to consume alcohol and junk food, and yet it's the exact opposite. People don't get it. Like it's taking away from their life.
Yeah. That's a very profound statement. People should not be paying for it. They should be being paid to do it. That's a very profound statement, my friend. Is there anything else you want to touch on before we I want to be kind of conscious of our time here. Anything that you want to share before we kind of put a bow on this?
Yeah. Why don't I finish with a party quote? I'm going to bring it up here.
You know what?
Here we go. This is a quote that I created. What was your question, though?
I was going to say, did you watch that video that went viral of those 2 or 3 guys that went to the Supreme Court in California? They're like, we're here to fight for the right of house parties. Did you see that?
Oh, I got to look this up. That's funny.
It's a video. Like I thought of you right away when I saw it. It's like a video of these 2 guys, because I guess in Beverly Hills or like someplace in California, they're banning house parties. And these 2 guys went to the Supreme Court to fight for house parties. And you know what? Here, I'll find it and I'll play it, because you can go ahead and say your quote, and then this might be a nice audio clip to wrap up on, because it's such a funny thing. So yeah, go for it, man.
Okay, so lasting happiness, like all great things in life, does not come instantly. It must be intentionally engineered into your life. There you go, man. You got to learn how to party sober.
I totally agree.
And it will lead to lasting happiness. There you go.
I totally agree with that. I'm gonna find this video here. Here it is. I got it. So on YouTube, if people, I'm gonna play it. It's called Surfer Bro, LA City Council defending house parties. So here, I'm just gonna play this, and then we'll record this in.
Is absolutely one of my favorite.
This is a ad.
Identify
There we go.
yourself. What up, Council? My name is Chad Kroger. I'm an activist and house party enthusiast. Over the past week, I've been in a state of deep despair upon hearing the news that LA is trying to outlaw house parties in the Hollywood Hills. I am here determined to stop this future atrocity. House parties were the bedrock of my development as a young man in San Clemente. My first introduction to manhood came when the captain of my water polo team, Boomer Kingsley, asked me to shotgun a tall can of Bud Light in front of the whole squad at his end of the season bash. His parents were in Tahoe at the time, so we tore that weekend up. It was epic, and I was super stoked. My newfound confidence gave me the courage to ask out the most popular girl in school, Lauren Stockholder, to prom that year. She rejected me, and I had to go with Stacy McMillan, but I didn't care because I was so amped on chugging with my boys. That's what house parties do. Raging at house parties is the truest way to party.
Next speaker, please come and identify yourself.
This guy's even better.
What up, council? My name is JT Parr. I am also here to defend parties in the Hollywood Hills. I grew up like most kids, worried I couldn't bench 2 plates, that I wouldn't fit in, that I wouldn't find love. Then I discovered partying, and suddenly all those worries went to the wayside. I didn't need love. I had keg stands. I discovered I was great at raging, and it revealed wonderful things about myself. I could relate to bros regardless of what kind of bro they were. I could be at a party and moon people and everyone would laugh, be witty. Or I could play beer pong and compete with real integrity. In short, I fulfilled my potential. If you outlaw house parties, you may keep the volume down, but an externality is that you may keep people from bonding. America needs bonding. People need to put aside their differences and find common joy. There's no more effective environment for that than a freaking rager. This is best exemplified in me and Chad's relationship. We were star-crossed. He a surfer, me a bodyboarder.
Thank you. And I want to welcome you to LA Council's Bill and Ted's excellent adventure. Identify yourself.
What up, council? My name.
All right, man. So that's, I think that's the best way to wrap this session up. You've never seen that before?
I'm gonna watch it again.
I'm gonna send it to you, man. It's like the funniest thing, but it's true. Like some of my best memories were like at house parties with like my friends and teammates and stuff, and that's kind of where people do learn connecting with people, communication. Just that's life, man. So I think that what you're doing to connect people all over the world in a healthy, safe environment is much needed, especially getting people off their screens, getting them out from texting and get them real life, out of chat rooms and into real conversations. So I love what you're doing, man. Like I said, if there's anything I can do in the future to help out, and looking forward to partying sober with you here in Asia, right, Angela? We'll do it up. So yeah, man, I appreciate your time here. Anything else? I think that your quote is a great way to wrap it up too.
No, we're good. I just hope that was the LA Council was staged.
I know, man. It was real. Like these two guys, when you see the video, like these two guys came in and it was hilarious, man. So maybe you should, crash some courtroom somewhere along your journey and see what you can do for the people getting their fight for the right to fight for the right to party, as the Beastie Boys said.
Hell yeah, really enjoyed it.
All right, man. Peace. Can't wait to catch up, and we'll see you later. Thanks for subscribing, everyone. If you're listening to this, go ahead, click the links in the bio, subscribe, check us out on YouTube, iTunes, and definitely follow my little brother here, Jacques, and around the world. He's doing great things, and thanks for tuning in. Peace.